Been here for over 100 years.
100 years?
This is the street that Rocky ran up and down every movie.
Okay, so we're gonna have to reenact that.
Hey, bananas!
There's a passion in Philadelphia like no place else because the fans really care.
Nowhere else I've ever been that there's people as genuine.
Cuando miré Filadelfia, sabía que esta era mi ciudad.
There's not that sense of restriction. Philly gives you an opportunity to just be an artist.
It is the most underrated city. You hear about New York, you hear about Chicago. You don't hear that much about Philly, but just you wait.
Philadelphia lays claim to the birthplace of our great nation. From Independence Hall to the Liberty Bell, it's a city known for its history, its famous sandwich, and its love of sports. Philly stands proud as one of the great sports cities of America.
In Philadelphia, sports is important. There's a passion like no place else.
And dominating the scene are their beloved birds, the Philadelphia Eagles. Mr. Jaworski, Ron, what should I call you?
Jaws.
Jaws.
Jaws. All right, that's plain and simple.
So to be on their home turf with one of their legendary quarterbacks is a pinch me moment for sure. You ever see one of these before?
Oh yeah, threw about 5,000 of those in my career.
Hey, so Ron, where do the cheerleaders hang out around here?
If you were going to play in this town, you better be tough because these fans will recognize a phony in one play.
Yeah.
I remember a game against the Colts, and I hit my first 11 passes. I'm hot, man. Hit 11 in a row.
Yeah.
I missed number 12. Boo! I said, these are tough fans.
He needs help finding the end zone.
There's a vested interest in the outcome of the game when you play in Philadelphia.
But whereas football gets its fair share of love, the skateboarding community is keen to put its own stamp on the sports scene.
You never carry your board like this. Carry that thing like you ready to go.
And leading the way is 25-year-old Philly local Jahmir Brown. Jahmir, tell me a little bit about your background.
Well, I grew up in like Southwest Philly, found skateboarding through video games. Something about it just sparked the interest, and right away I was like, Mom, they have these at Kmart. Can we please go and get one? I'm from right across the street from Bartram Village Projects, and you see a lot growing up. By the time I was 5 years old, I've already seen people lose their life through gun violence, and seeing things like that as such a small child, like, you grow up fast.
So the neighborhood you grew up in, skating wasn't necessarily the hobby of choice.
Nah, I was considered a white boy and rocker, and people don't understand it. So to me, I was doing something original, and it gave me a different outlook than just the trouble around my neighborhood.
And providing a sense of community for skaters like Jahmir is Nocturnal Skate Shop.
This is home base for sure. Like, this is where everybody comes to either get their first board and feel welcomed, meet up before they go skate.
Come chill on a rainy day.
Exactly. If you're pulling up and you're in skateboarding, this is where you gotta come.
Skating style, what you wear, how is it different in, say, Philly than in another big city?
We got that flavor.
Yeah.
You always gonna know when you're from Philly. As soon as I step in London, are you from Philly? Go to LA, same thing. Go to Milan, same thing. Like, no matter where, like, they recognize Philly just by the way we dress and carry ourselves. So, a pair of cargo pants or some baggy tracksuit and some denims, just pushing the comfort.
The OGs, huh? Guys, I didn't get the windbreaker pants memo today. And pushing the boundaries are a generation of skaters that have been there since the beginning. You're like the trailblazers in the Philadelphia skateboarding scene. How has it changed from when you were coming up to now?
To see how much the sport or art of skateboarding has taken off is amazing.
You called it an art and a sport, but back in the day it wasn't viewed like that, right?
It was an underdog sport. It was like on some rebellion type of vibe.
Counterculture almost, yeah.
Organized sports, they have everything. The football field, the basketball field, the baseball field. Skateboarding was very unaccepted. You're this black sheep.
But as skateboarding has become more mainstream, even making its Olympic debut last year, skateboarders like Jahmir have managed to carve out a career from their passion through sponsorship and modeling deals with multi-million-dollar companies. What makes Philly such a desirable location for skateboarders to practice their art form?
You see all these big gaps in the ground?
Yeah.
You hit that at the wrong angle, you're going to really hurt yourself. Skating in the East Coast is a lot harder because of the weather. So a lot of people come out here to get tested, and it creates a certain level of respect that if you can do it here, then you can do it anywhere.
When the LA skaters come here, it's funny to see us sit back and watch them like really have a hard time picking this up, and then they leave.
I can't do it. You skated everywhere, but what do you love about skateboarding here in Philadelphia?
The main thing that keeps me coming back is y'all. It's the people. Nowhere else I've ever been that there's people as genuine, as nurturing, but also as rough.
Is that where the city gets its name, the city of brotherly love?
Yeah, it's tough love.
Yeah.
I'm gonna beat you down, but I'm also gonna pick you up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk on you, but I'm gonna tell you that you got this. I'm gonna be like, yeah, your pants too tight, but they look good on you.
Bro, what's wrong with my pants?
No, they look nice on you.
Thanks, man. I just don't want to bend over because they might split.
It is not for me.
What do you say in the Italian market?
No. 1, 2,
Yo! Yo! The South 9th Street Italian Market is America's oldest and continuously operating outdoor market. Do these actually have bourbon in them?
It's infused into the caramel.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere, right?
I've been here for over 100 years.
100 years?
This is the street that Rocky ran up and down every movie.
Okay, so we're gonna have to reenact that.
Hey, bananas!
But while this Philadelphia landmark has a strong Italian heritage,
wow.
There you go, pal, enjoy it.
Thank you. An exciting surge of international flavors has given this area new life. Meet Christina Martinez, owner of the much buzzed about Mexican restaurant South Philly Barbacoa. ¿Cómo se dice?
Cuchillo.
Oh, cuchillo.
Cuchillo.
All right. Named as one of the top 10 new restaurants in America, South Philly Barbacoa is renowned for its authentic lamb barbacoa, a preparation of meat that is steam cooked in an underground pit until tender, giving it a delicious smoky flavor.
Esta penca la usamos para cubrir la barbacoa.
Okay, here we go.
No podemos desperdiciar. Llevan mucho tiempo los agaves para crecer. Sí, perfecto.
A tradition Christina has brought to Philadelphia from her hometown of Capelhuac in central Mexico.
Mi niñez en México fue aprender a hacer la barbacoa. Mi padre es matando los borregos, haciendo el sacrificio. Mi madre es haciendo las rajas, la cebolla, el cilantro.
Wow, you make that look so easy. By keeping her culture alive through her food, Christina has created a business that most chefs could only dream of. A dream that at one point seemed impossible, for Christina is an undocumented immigrant. Tell me a little bit about your background. How did you end up here in South Philadelphia?
Pues como cualquier otro emigrante que cruza el desierto, con muchas ganas de trabajar, de cambiar la vida, de apoyar a la familia.
After suffering years of domestic abuse at the hands of her husband, Christina decided to flee in the hope of providing a better life for herself and her daughter.
Pues tenía yo la decisión de quedarme y que muriera yo en ese hogar encerrada, o de salir y emigrar y aprender otras cosas nuevas y también darme la oportunidad de cambiar mi vida.
What are we cooking?
Oh, las rajas.
Oh, de rajas. And the difficulties didn't stop there. Her journey to the States proved to be her biggest challenge yet.
Pues la dificultad más grande es que yo no sabía qué tan delicado era el cruce del desierto. Hay que tener mucho amor para correr, mucha pasión de sobrevivir en esta situación de vida o muerte.
Wow. In 2009, Christina arrived in Philadelphia, where she began selling her own unique tacos, first from out of her home, then from a taco cart, and finally establishing her own restaurant in the heart of the Italian market.
You ready for tortillas?
Is it difficult to, I guess, replicate the ingredients and the flavor here?
Pues replicarlo aquí ha sido más complejo. En México tenemos todos los productos, chile, la tierra, los borregos, todo es local.
Okay, so now I do one.
One more.
How long does it take to make barbacoa?
Bueno, la preparación dura 5 días.
5 days to prep the barbacoa.
Yeah.
To sell for 2 days.
Sí.
Here's the tricky part. Now we got it.
Entonces hay que tener mucha paciencia y muchas ganas de trabajar en barbacoa para hacer todo este proceso. No usamos máquina para esto, me gusta siempre a mano porque así generamos trabajo y también la gente aprende a cortar.
Christina now uses her influence to shine a light on the immigrant story in the culinary world.
Somos miles y millones de migrantes en Estados Unidos, que somos gente trabajadora, gente honesta, que cumple con todo lo que la ciudad nos pide o nos exige. No tengo miedo de ser esa voz para decir que necesitamos papeles, que necesitamos una vida, pero sin en cambio, pues nada cambia. Es el espíritu del maíz, del amor, del proceso, de la tierra, y este es terminado.
Those jalapenos are caliente. Mucho delicioso. Do you know why? Because these are made with mucho amor. Wow, those are good. Philadelphia's Old City draws visitors from far and wide. But beyond the city's much-loved tourist hubs, you'll find pockets of neighborhoods that have become centers for diversity and creativity. Now, the age-old question, do I pull it out of the bag or do I eat it in the bag like this? East Passyunk Avenue has grown with the influence and contributions of generations of immigrant communities and now stands proud as home to over 160 independently owned businesses, 45% of which are women-owned. And encapsulating the spirit of this neighborhood is Bach. Why am I getting a very eerie feeling walking down these hallways?
We are in a school, so I don't know about your history, Johnny, but how was high school for you?
Traumatic. The most familiar part for me in the school was the principal's office. Originally a vocational school, Bach has now been transformed into affordable workspaces for over 250 tenants practicing a variety of trades.
I'm preparing for my first solo exhibition, and I'm specifically painting men.
Bam! This is your next masterpiece right here, Elizabeth.
So there are tons of creatives in South Philly, so it's a really densely packed residential neighborhood. People are outgrowing their living rooms, they're outgrowing their home studios, and they really wanted to expand into a place like Bach that was nearby.
It's just a puppet, so right now I'm sculpting the face for it. She'll eventually become something along the lines of this.
Do you want to see what a real masterpiece looks like?
It's, uncomparable.
I know. Wow.
How do you feel about cashew cheese?
Cashew cheese?
Yeah.
So there's no dairy in this?
No dairy.
You, my friend, are a magician. That is some tasty cashew.
My studio is called WC Pottery because of water closet. This was the toilet room. When I was brought in, there were like two 40-year-old toilets here. I was able to put my kiln in here.
Ooh, these are nice, man. And Bach isn't the only unassuming building in East Passyunk. What is this?
This looks amazing.
Tower of deliciousness.
Wow.
Welcome to Hardena, a James Beard-nominated Indonesian restaurant. And joining me is Kate Scott, the play-by-play announcer for the Philadelphia 76ers, only the second woman in history to call games for the NBA. How long have you been in Philly, and what do you think so far?
About 6 months.
Okay. Relatively new.
And it's been fantastic. Born and raised in California, so everybody was pretty scared for me. Philly, how you gonna do? You know they really care about their sports. I'm like, hell yeah, why do you think I wanna go? I've been into sports since I was a little girl. My mom and dad would wake up, they'd come find me watching the half-hour repeats of SportsCenter. And I remember memorizing batting averages and shooting percentages, and then I played everything, played 4 varsity sports in high school, wrote for the school newspaper.
You're now the play-by-play announcer for the Sixers. So how did you go from Oakland to Philadelphia?
Yeah, so again, just working your way up. Started calling high school sports, then called college sports. I was lucky enough to get an opportunity to call men's and women's hoops at the Tokyo Olympics, which was incredible. Got to call a Warriors game.
Goes behind his back and lays it up and in. Are you kidding me, Stephen Curry?
So had enough stuff that NBC was interested once the Sixers job came open. Asked me to audition and interview, and here we are.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So what kind of preparation goes into being a play-by-play announcer? I'd imagine it's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. You know, yesterday over at the practice facility, it's because you can always pick stuff up, right? Come back to my apartment, get my boards ready. So I have 8x11 sheets from each team. Everybody, names, numbers, what they did the last couple of games. And then obviously I'm watching film, kind of like a coach or an athlete. So there's a lot that goes into it, but I'm calling Sixers basketball for a living.
How does it feel to be such a trailblazer in this field?
Obviously, I'm so excited to be the new voice of the Sixers. But if this industry isn't 20 times better by the time that I leave in 20 years, and it's not just 1 or 2 female play-by-play announcers in the NBA, but it's just so important to me, again, to open as many doors for as many different people who want to do this as possible. I'm so glad you met me here because I've been wanting to try this spot, so thank you.
Well, you're going to be really upset when you find out who's picking up the bill.
Yeah, I'm going to, on that note, look at the time. I got to run. See you guys later.
Philadelphia's Museum Mile draws art lovers from across the globe. From the Philadelphia Museum of Art to the Rodin Museum, the Champs-Élysées of Philadelphia is peppered with cultural gems, including the most visited museum in Pennsylvania, the Franklin Institute. As my father always told me, early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy and wise. I don't know where he got that quote from, but...
Ben Franklin. You know, he is one of the greatest Americans, and you're in one of the few national memorials that are in private hands. Really an entryway to one of the great science centers in the world.
But whereas this interactive museum may be best known for its giant walk-through heart and brain, now this almost 200-year-old institute has been magically transformed to host the world premiere of Harry Potter: The Exhibition. The most comprehensive touring spectacle ever presented about the wizarding world.
This is, without a doubt, the most fantastic exhibition on Harry Potter that has ever happened. You'll be able to go to Hogwarts, experience the Great Hall, you'll take a visit to Hagrid's hut, you'll see props and costumes, but you'll also be engaged in an immersive experience like no other. And I'll tell you, the response from visitors has just been phenomenal.
Man, you're going to see more people scalping tickets for the Harry Potter exhibit than Eagles games.
Well, we could. Philly's a great sports town, but I have to tell you, its art and culture scene is second to none as well.
And no one knows that better than Philly-based fashion designer and Project Runway contestant, Prajje Oscar.
Everybody bow down. It's heavy as These models are gonna die.
While his Haitian background is woven into his work,
This dress here is actually hand painted on, so I painted all this color onto the flowers.
Prajje uses Philadelphia as his muse. Prajje, this is where all the magic happens, huh?
This is where all the magic happens, yes.
What made you choose Philadelphia as your home of residence?
I've always been very attracted to the art, very attracted to the architecture. I love the vintage and the antiques, but there's a part of me that also love modern. My perfect place to be is when the two merge. And for me in Philly, it's like, yeah, the two is merging. Haitian art can be very intense, can be very specific. Being in Philadelphia, I can take that very specific and make it more modern, make it more global. Philly gives you an opportunity to just be an artist. There's not that sense of restriction. In New York, you probably get a huge fine writing on a wall.
You could pee on all the walls, but if you put paint on it, you're going to jail.
Done. And then to come to Philly, where it's like you can put a grant into the city and they'll give you money to paint on a wall, why not?
And that's exactly what Mural Arts Philadelphia does. Employing 250 artists annually, the city has over 4,000 outdoor murals, earning its reputation as the mural capital of the world.
Everywhere you go, each one of these murals will tell a different story. What's interesting about this, when I looked at it, I was like, oh wow, this is Philly. It was such an eclectic mixture of the different communities that are here, and I thought that was a good representation. And also the way it's painted, it's almost like it's coming out at you, almost 3D.
Yeah, it is very lifelike.
You have your fashion people there. You can see there's different things from jeans to t-shirts to shirts to the cinch waist, and you get, you know, more details, you get tailoring. There's a lot you can pull from here.
And further inspiration comes in the form of tiny glistening tiles that comprise Philadelphia's Magic Gardens. This is cool. It's like a stained glass window here, huh?
It's Isaiah Agar, who is, 82 years old, who constantly adding pieces to what we will call a 30-year-old masterpiece. And an avant-garde piece you can continue adding. It's never too much.
Where he drinks and leaves all of his empty bottles.
All of his empty bottles. That's actually a good question. I wonder now. In Haitian culture, we have entire painting done out of little beads and crystals and stuff like that. In my next collection, a big piece of that I am going to do into a lot of garments. And I was like, oh my God, this is such a modern way to translate this Haitian culture piece by looking at how they were done into the wall. The art scene in Philly really have that heartbeat. The artist community have their pulse on telling their stories their way with their medium, whether it's in the murals or architecture or the magical garden of fashion. It says something about the city itself.
Guys, thanks for watching this video. If you like what you saw, make sure to give us a thumbs up and comment, because I love reading all your comments. And if you want more, subscribe right now.